In the final months of World War II, the world stood at a precipice. Europe had seen the fall of Nazi Germany, but the Pacific War continued with unrelenting brutality. Japan remained defiant. Despite staggering losses, firebombings across Tokyo, and a crumbling empire, Japan's military command refused to accept unconditional surrender. For the Allies, particularly the United States, the cost of a full-scale invasion of the Japanese mainland loomed, potentially costing millions of lives on both sides. Behind the scenes, something far more powerful than any conventional weapon was in development. In utmost secrecy, under deserts and laboratories across America, a team of scientists had been racing to harness the power of the atom. This was the Manhattan Project, initiated in 1939 and developed with help from Britain and Canada. It brought together the world's top minds, including J. Robert Oppenheimer, Enrico Fermi, and Niels Bohr. What began as a scientific theory was about to become the most destructive weapon humanity had ever created. On July 16, 1945, deep in the New Mexico desert, the first atomic bomb was detonated. The Trinity test unleashed a force that stunned even its creators. A fireball lit the sky. A shockwave tore through the desert floor. Scientists stood in silence, realizing they had just opened the door to a new era. President Truman, attending the Potsdam Conference in Germany, received the news America now possessed a weapon of unparalleled power. At that moment, a grave decision awaited: how to use this weapon and whether to use it at all. The Potsdam Declaration was issued to Japan: surrender unconditionally or face total destruction. Japan did not respond. High-ranking officials in Tokyo believed the United States would not dare deploy such a devastating weapon. They underestimated both the American resolve and the bomb's potential. On August 6, 1945, at 8:15 a.m., a US B-29 bomber named Enola Gay released an atomic bomb over the city of Hiroshima. The bomb, codenamed Little Boy, used uranium-235 and detonated approximately 600 meters above the city. The explosion released energy equivalent to 15,000 tons of TNT. In a split second, Hiroshima was transformed into a scorched wasteland. An estimated 70,000 people died, instantly vaporized, burned, or crushed beneath collapsing buildings. Thousands more would succumb in the hours, days, and weeks to come. The heat from the bomb exceeded 4,000 degrees Celsius. People near the blast center were reduced to shadows on walls. Fires engulfed the city. Those who survived the initial explosion suffered horrific injuries, burns, blindness, and radiation sickness that doctors struggled to understand. Hospitals were destroyed. Doctors were dead. Chaos reigned. Despite the unimaginable destruction, Japan still did not surrender. Leaders were in disbelief, unsure whether Hiroshima's destruction was truly a single, unique event or the beginning of more. Then, on August 9th, the second bomb was dropped, this time on Nagasaki. The original target that day was the city of Kakura, but cloud cover forced the crew to turn to their secondary objective. At 11:02 a.m., the bomb Fat Man, a plutonium device more complex and powerful than Little Boy, exploded over the Urakami Valley in Nagasaki. The city's hills contained the damage somewhat, but the bomb still unleashed devastation. Around 40,000 people died instantly. The death toll would climb to over 70,000 by the end of the year. Nagasaki was home to many Catholics, foreign missionaries, and industrial workers. Entire families were lost. A cathedral that once stood proud was reduced to rubble. The survivors, those not killed in the blast, suffered burns so severe that skin hung from their arms like rags. Many wandered the ruins, begging for water. The rivers turned black with soot and blood. By then, the full reality of atomic warfare was sinking in. It wasn't just the explosion, it was the lingering, invisible poison. Radiation spread silently, causing internal bleeding, organ failure, hair loss, and death days or weeks later. Children born to survivors carried genetic damage. Some survivors, known as Hibakusha, became lifelong symbols of pain and resilience. Many faced discrimination, poverty, and illness, yet they lived to tell their stories. Their voices are essential to understanding the true cost of what happened. On August 10th, the Japanese War Council convened. Debate raged. Some wanted to fight on. Others knew the war was lost. The entry of the Soviet Union into the war, invading Japanese-held Manchuria, added pressure. Finally, Emperor Hirohito intervened. On August 15th, his voice was broadcast across the nation in a crackly radio message. It was the first time the Japanese people ever heard their emperor speak. In his message, he spoke not of defeat, but of enduring the unendurable to bring peace. World War II had ended. In the years that followed, the world wrestled with the morality of the atomic bombings. Did they save lives by preventing a mainland invasion? Were they necessary, or were there alternatives? Historians and survivors still debate this. Some argue the bombs were used to intimidate the Soviet Union and secure U.S. post-war dominance. Others believe Japan was already on the brink of surrender, especially with the Soviet invasion underway. What cannot be debated is the human cost. Over 200,000 people died as a direct result of the two bombings, most of them civilians. Entire generations were lost. Survivors carried physical and emotional scars. And the world entered a new, terrifying age. The Cold War quickly followed. The US and USSR raced to build more powerful bombs, hydrogen bombs capable of wiping out entire continents. The nuclear arms race became the shadow of modern politics, hanging over every conflict with the threat of mutual destruction. Hiroshima and Nagasaki were no longer distant cities, they became symbols of the thin line between war and annihilation. But something else emerged to hope. From the ashes of destruction, Hiroshima rebuilt itself as a city of peace. The Hiroshima Peace Memorial Park was established, with the haunting Genbaku Dome preserved just as it stood after the blast. Nagasaki built its atomic bomb museum, dedicated not just to remembrance but to warning the world of what must never be repeated. Every year, on August 6th and August 9th, ceremonies are held. Bells toll, lanterns float silently down rivers. Children sing songs of peace, survivors share their stories with the next generation, hoping that their pain may prevent future tragedy. Their message is simple but powerful. No more Hiroshimas, no more Nagasaki's, no more nuclear war. The bombings of 1945 were not just a military act. They were a turning point in human history. A moment when science, politics, and war collided and revealed the full extent of humanity's power to destroy, but also the power to rebuild, to learn, to remember. In understanding what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, we are not just looking at the past, we are warning ourselves about the future. May we never forget, and may we never repeat the mistake.